it's also a great insult to that artist.
To play the Sahithyam game with you. Are you game for it?
I don't know how it gets translated when I sing because it is absolutely.
See, I think in the third line,
I was just imagining a ball of butter in front of me.
Okay, can you start again, Nana Deshagalani? With the pathos, you're
super adi vaangirken.
The Sanskrit composition, Bavayami Gopala, is that okay with you?
Shall we take Bantu, reethi, koluvu?
Okay, yeah, and we'll give you Kaveri water, don't worry.
Sanjay Subramaniam and baby Sriramaka, they have all told me.
Scintillate, you minuscule asteroid in the vast expanse of the splendid sky. And people will ask, what did you just say? I said, twinkle, twinkle, little star.
जमुना किनारे प्यारे कदम तरमोहन बांसुरी बजावे.
Actually, Bharat, this is a song that I have heard you sing. And I must have added at least, say, 3,000 views to this song, and I've admired your rendition of this song.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you. That was recorded for MadRasana, the first of their Unplugged series.
I know. And it's such a pleasure to meet a Vidwan whose work you have adored. And especially, I don't know if you remember, 2016, I happened to attend your kacheri. And of course, you were singing Dharmavati at that start. It was between 10:15 and 10:30 at Parthasarathi Swami Sabha in the morning. Okay. And it was such a wonderful rendition. And I've been following your work from your Carnatic Idol days as well. So, great, Bharat. Very happy to see you.
Very happy to see you and talk to you too. Because I've also been following a lot of your works, your Katha Kacheris and your Alvar Charitrams, because I'm very interested in knowing the context behind every song or every composition or every composer for that matter. So adanala I keep following all these things, and I recently also heard and saw your video called Andal or Little Superstar. It was amazing. So it's so really great and humbling to talk to you.
Bharat, as much as we have liked each other's work, do you feel we as artists or performers, do we actually get time to attend live concerts or live upanyasams?
Well, I think it's about the time that we make to attend concerts or live events, because that's how I think I have grown in my career. So நான் சின்ன வயசுல இருந்து கச்சேரி கேட்டு லைவ்ல கேட்டு தான் ஐ ஹவ் grown. அப்படிதான் வளர்ந்துருக்கேன். என் ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாரும் சேர்ந்து கச்சேரிக்கு போகிறது அந்த மாதிரி. ஆஃப்டர் பாயிண்ட் ஆஃப் டைம் கொஞ்சம் அதுக்கு டைம் குறைஞ்சிருத்தோ, டைம் இஸ் நம்மளோட கச்சேரிக்கு நிறைய ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுற மாதிரி ஒரு ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி, ஒரு சிச்சுவேஷன் உருவாயிட்டோன்னு தோன்றது. பட் ஸ்டில் ஐ மேக் ஷுர் தட் ஐ அட்டெண்ட் மோர் கான்சர்ட்ஸ் தேன் ஐ சிங் இன் த சீசன் ஆர் இன் ஜென்ரல். அண்ட் as you rightly said, it's absolutely necessary that we attend live programs and not just rely on tapes or recordings.
True. And on a lighter vein, that you're speaking about live programs, I don't know when is the next live program. But wait, we'll have to adjust to challenges and we'll have to adjust to the current world. So there's no doubt about that, Bharat. When you in fact look at performances, either Carnatic performances or upanyasams for that matter, is there something that comes to your mind on the role of Sahithyam?
I've always felt this importance of this thing called Sahithyam when I sing. or when anyone sings, because see, in music, alapana is an abstract form. So is swara kalpana. It's like solfa syllables, sa, re, gama, and the madri. It just goes. But the Sahithyam part is which connects the singer and the listener. To such an extent, some people even prefer listening only to vocal concert and not instrumental. Even though I'm not for it, but I'm just saying the fact that vocal la vandu Sahithyam paada mudiyumgradhu, it's a very very striking and important factor. Even like people like T.N. Rajaratnam Pillai, who was a great Nadaswara Vidwan, he has told he was a great vocalist too. Romba alaga paaduvar. So appa vara oru question kekkumbodhu, he has told that ennikkume Nadaswara isaiyila na vandu oru level la irukennalum வாய்ப்பாட்டு தான் நிஜமாவே வசதி அப்படின்னு அவர் சொல்லியிருக்கார். That could be because of the role Sahithyam plays.
Okay, see, Sahithyam does play an important role, and I completely buy your points. On the other hand, let's assume, see, your mother tongue is Tamil and so is mine. But you will know a lot of Tamil people who are actually learning this beautiful art of classical Carnatic music. But apparently, most of the compositions that we sing may not be from the Tamil language, though we can. To give due importance to a stalwart like Tyagaraja, Shyama Shastri, Annamaya, Bhadrachala Ramadas, Kshetraya, we sing a lot of Telugu kritis. So, I don't know about the other classical Carnatic musicians. I can just ask you this question. When you perform and you sing songs of all these composers that you've mentioned, do you happen to read the context, study the meanings, study the Telugu words, or to a large extent you know what the context is and you just don't go into the deeper meaning? How is it? How does it go?
Well, I should say that I try to study the meanings and the context, but not like இப்போ ஒரு பாட்டு கத்துண்டா இந்த பாட்டுக்கு வந்து இப்போ நான் வந்து ஃபுல்லா அலசி ஆராயணம் அந்த மாதிரி இல்லாம I happen to listen to a lot of கதா உபன்யாசம்ஸ் அண்ட் லாட் ஆஃப் சொற்பொழிவு அந்த மாதிரிலாம் கேட்கும்போது அண்ட் அபவுட் த கம்போசர்ஸ் நிறைய பேர் பேசும்போது கேட்கும்போது ஐ ட்ரை டு ரிலேட் டு இட் அண்ட் தென் when I read about it somewhere அண்ட் எல்லாமே ஒரு மாதிரி லைக் ஜிக்ஸா பசில் மாதிரி எல்லாம் அப்படியே ஒன்று சேர்த்து ஓகே இது இப்படி ஒரு கான்டெக்ஸ்ட் இருக்கு அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி. ஸோ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் தட் ரௌஹிணேயானுஜார்ச்சிதம்ங்கிற அந்த ஒரு பதம் இன் சித்தி விநாயக மனிஷம், அந்த அதுக்கு என்ன மீனிங் அப்படின்னு அந்த சமந்தகமணி அப்படிங்கிற அந்த பேக் ஸ்டோரி எல்லாம் கேட்கும்போது இட்ஸ் வெரி வெரி இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங் டு நோ சச் திங்ஸ்.
Will that help you musically? See, for example, Rauhiniya Nujarchitamna, you know that from Skanda Puranam, Mahapariva has quoted that it is Rohini's son Balarama's brother Krishna who had worshipped the deity. So, will that help you sing, or it's just for your information?
Well, I don't know how it gets translated when I sing, because it is absolutely up to the listeners. So when I sing, when I know the meaning, I feel I have a little more hold on the composition when I sing it, if I know the context and the meaning.
True.
So I mean, as a person who concentrates on all these context and the backstories and everything, how do you relate to? I mean, can you differentiate between people who know the context and sing and people who do not know the context and sing?
See, as a listener, I am no vidwan like you people, because you have all dedicated like decades for learning under a guru. I have learned music, but that did not become a mainstream. So I went into Vedanta and teaching. Of course, wherever and whenever possible, I try to collaborate with musicians of great learning experience, and we try presenting. So as a listener, when I sit and listen to live concerts or concerts through YouTube and other channels, I cannot differentiate exactly between a person who knows the context and is singing and the person who isn't. But to a large extent, I know whether the person has a grip of the language first. So, we should be very, very sensitive to the language. I know, as Tamil speaking people, we have seen umpteen Tamil movies where, If you have a North Indian person who's growing up in the south of India, Nambal Varan, Ningal Kekran, we make so much of fun. Now, imagine we are singing Telugu Kritis and the entire Andhra lot is listening. We shouldn't become like Nambal Varan, Ningal Kekran types in Telugu. So what happens is when I listen to a lot of musicians, technically I have no expertise to comment because I cannot say that Shemangudi Mama's Kalyani was much better than this person's Kalyani, because to me at that point in time both may seem good. But when it comes to the rendition, because in classical Carnatic music, vis-a-vis the Hindustani music, you know very well, Sahithyam plays a very, very major role. See, to be a classical musician, I've heard a lot of critics say that you should at least know 1500 compositions by heart. So that's the level of Sahithyam importance that we give. So when a person renders in a certain language, be it Kannada, be it Telugu, or be it Tamil itself, I can know whether the person has a grip or he or she has just technically learnt it, not got into the nuances of the kriti. That much I can understand, but not the context part.
Okay.
I am very, very enthusiastic to play the Sahithyam game with you. Are you game for it?
Absolutely.
Bharat, this is just for my understanding, because as a person who has learned Vedanta, 4 different granthas, and have been speaking on these works, I want to understand if some kind of context giving from my side will help a great performer, a Vidwan like you. So let's take the Sanskrit composition Bavayami Gopala. Is that okay with you?
Bavayami Gopala. Yeah, sure.
So can you sing the charanam for us?
Yeah, one minute. Kati ghatita mekhala kachita mani gantika. Kati ghatita mekhala kachita mani gantika. Patala ninadena विभ्राजमानम् कुटिलपद घटित संकुल शिंजिते नटं कुटिलपद घटित संकुल शिंजिते नटं चतुर नटना समुज्वल विलासं भावयामि गोपाल बालं मन सेवितं तत्पदं चिन्तयेयं सदा भावयामि.
Beautiful. Such compositions which have time and again been sung by various Vidwans and Vidushis kind of give you those goosebumps. In Kumara Sambhavam, Kalidasa says when Lord Shiva opens his eyes, you get goosebumps. So you get those goosebumps. But now that we are playing this as a game to understand Sahithyam better, I'll give you the context. Yashoda, who happens to be the one who nurtured Krishna, so she had the ability or the fortune of seeing all his pastimes. In fact, Kulashekara Alva tells in one of his verses, he tells, Neevunda adishilin michal yashodainangai pattu ponade. Devaki tries to lament. She tells that I have carried you for so many months in my sack. And it is Yashoda who has the fortune of consuming the remaining. Neevunda adishilin michal, the Sesha Bhagam, whatever is remaining. So she starts shedding tears. So Yashoda is regarded as that towering personality. In fact, in one place, the commentator says, Idakkai valakkai acharam theriyada anacharav prachurai. See, she was the zenith of unorthodoxy, so much so that she didn't know what was the difference between the left hand and the right hand. See, I am a sinistrous, so I am a left-hander. So while I used to visit Madras and I used to had to pay the auto driver, I used to give him in the left hand. He said, he will be smoking, but he'll say, Anda kaila kudu. So I thought, oh, this hand is so very inauspicious. But here the commentator says that Yashoda, she didn't know what was the difference of using the left hand and the right hand. She was at that zenith of unorthodoxy. So don't even get about Vedanta Jnana. But she, Annamaya says in this composition, that she used to make balls of butter. And Krishna, even if you visit Mannargudi is famous for Rajagopala Swami. So when you go to Mannargudi and you see the Lord, Rajagopalan, you will know that he's had loads of butter because the Archa Vigraham is so immensely beautiful. So that kind of a Krishna who's so like the Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall that we have read. Now he's crawling on the ground. And the scorching rays of the sun is letting the butter ball that he has in his hand melt. And since he's quite stout, he's not able to reach his mouth because as he's crawling. And as it starts melting, tells Andal, so that butter starts dripping as it melts and Krishna starts sliding. So he's not able to move properly. At that point in time, reacting to his movement, the little bells in his mekhala is the Uddiyanam is mekhala or kanchi in Sanskrit. So they start jingling. So Annamaya says, in my eyes, I can paint a canvas in front of me of Tirumala where the Lord, because it is believed that Kandan Adiyinai Yamakku Kattum Vettu, it is Lord Krishna who is on Tirumala. So he is a little child who with his rhythmic movements of the jingling bells in his girdle is moving forward to the melting of the butter, and Yashoda looks at him and she says, is there anybody on this earth who can have a glimpse of this most fortunate sight as me? So this is the context in which, so as he improvises in the last few words, he takes us to the pinnacle of devotion. Can you just try this again with this canvas in your mind?
Okay. Beautiful. Kati ghatita mekhala kachita mani ghantika.
Can you just make the child crawl a bit slowly?
Kati ghatika mekhala khachita manigantika. Kati ghatita mekhala khachita manigantika. Patala ninadena vibrajamanam. Kutila pada ghatita sankula sinjite natam. Kutila pada ghatita sankula sinjite natam. Chatula natara samujwala vilasam. Bavayami gopala balam manasevitam tatpadam chintayam sada bavayami.
So MS Subbalakshmi would have been very, very happy today. Because with such devotion she sang this song which lingers in the hearts of listeners, and you have done. Now my question is, were you able to visualize the scene better, or you feel musically that's enough? What is your thought about it?
No, absolutely. I was able to visualize it much better, and I was just imagining a ball of butter in front of me and Krishna holding it. And the fact
and you must have also had loads of butter.
Yeah, absolutely. So the imagination about Krishna, the butter dripping through the முழங்கை வரைக்கும் வந்து அதுல வழிக்கிண்டு போறது அப்படிங்கிறது it's really amazing. The imagination of those great people.
True.
Chance hai there. And definitely.
Bharat, now that you're done with Sanskrit, we have to go to my state.
Yes, absolutely.
See, what is your thought about singing Devar Namas? We call it Devar Namas here. Of course, Dasar compositions is the common way that people know. So, what is your thought? What happens in your mind when you sing the Sahithyam of any Dasa, be it Kanaka Dasa, Purandara Dasa, Vijay Vithala Dasa? What is your thought?
Devar Namas nu sollumbodhu I cannot not mention Srikanth Anna's name, because G. Srikanth Anna kattunda one of the finest musicians I've seen. I mean, I'm no one to comment, but I'm just saying, the feeling and experience.
You're talking about Srikant Gopalakrishnan, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he has sung for a lot of my dance productions, and when he sings, there is a certain level. Yeah, so I agree. Yeah. So it's a concurrent title value. Agree. Come on.
Absolutely. So our guitar na the maximum Kannada compositions kattande Devar Namas and Dasar Padas and also other dasas. And he did his MA or MPhil thesis on Dasakutas.
Oh.
So adu full he has collect panni ivlo besar irukum and thesis na paathirken. So bayangarama irukum, when he would give me the meaning and the pronunciation eppadi sollano adella vandu onnonna solli nalla adi vaangirken, super adi vaangirken, adichu solli thandirukar najamave. So I it's almost like next to Tamil for me.
Okay.
Kannada.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll give you Kaveri water, don't worry.
Please.
Okay, so I was thinking of one composition. Of course, there is a plethora of compositions. I have listened to MLV Amma's rendition, and it is I can't tell you the experience having grown up in Bangalore. Innu daya barathe. Have you learned this composition, Bharat?
Yes, I know. I have learned it from Srikanth Anna.
Okay, so let's get on to the game. Can you sing the charanam? There's no anupallavi. See, Dasar padams don't go in this typical format, right? So you can choose Nana Deshagadalli or something like that.
Nana Deshagadalli, Nana Bandhugadalli, Nana Yonigadalli, Nalidu ನಾನು ನನ್ನದು ಎಂಬ ನರಗದೊಳಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದು ನೀನೇ ಗತಿಯೆಂದು ನಂಬಿದ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾನ ಪನ್ನಗ ಶಯನ ಶ್ರೀ ಪರಮ ಪುರುಷ ಹರಿಯೇ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ
Wonderful, Bharat. Thank you so much. I'm personally very touched. See, probably in such a context, though in a concert you will do a Vistaram and you will showcase the audience the beauty of Kalyana Vasantam, in the Upanyasam scenario or in the Harikatha circuit, what I would try to kind of elucidate here is, see, just imagine, I am the son of my mother who's Prabha. So she would have nurtured me in a certain way. There are certain children who may not have a very good relationship with their mothers. There are certain mothers who may not have a very good relationship with their children. And there are children who lose mothers at a very, very young age. And they have to undergo a lot of turmoil because not everybody's life is smooth. It comes with a lot of ups and downs. That's what Vedanta teaches us. It's karma given. Considering the current scenario, in the once a lockdown was announced in the month of March, especially in the month of April, a lot of us were moved when we saw people walking like 2,000 kilometers from the place where they had worked to their hometown. It was gripping at times, and it moved us. So they must have thought in their minds, why this kind of a life, right? So the pathos, the melancholy that's associated with it probably would have forced a Purandaradasa to say, Nana deshagalali, Nana bandhugalali, Nana yonigalali, which is garbham, nalidu hutti. Then he comes back to devotion. He says, Nanu nannedu yemba naragadodage biddu. So he says, finally, with all of this turmoil that I'm facing, I have this concept of I and me, which is true of me. I'm not speaking as a realized Atma here. See, it's a simple thing. I give an example. When we go to temples, we buy an apple worth 150 rupees a kg, and there's another person who buys a dozen of bananas, which is worth 20 rupees. By mistake, if the Vadyar exchanges the bananas to me and the apples to him, I will not take it as Bhagavat Prasadam and say, give my apples to me, because the 150 rupees is there in that. So even in the sanctum sanctorum, in the premises, that ahankaram and mamakaram doesn't go. So Dasa compares this particular concept of having this concept of I, me, ahankaram, mamakaram to a deep well. You must know the very famous Sri Vedagudi Krishnan Swami. His father, Varadacharya, whose centenary is being celebrated, he used to say, கோயம்புத்தூர்ல யாராவது கிணறுல விழுந்துட்டானா ஏண்டாப்பா விழுந்துட்டியான்னு கேட்டா விழுந்துட்டே இருக்கேன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஏன்னா கோயம்புத்தூர்ல அவ்வளோ ஆழமா கிணறு. So this biddu should be neatified. Can you start again, Nana Deshagadali? With the pathos, you probably we'll have to put ourselves in the shoes of the migrant laborer.
Nana deshagalali Nana bandhugalali Nana deshagalali Nana bandhugalali Nana yonigalali nalidu putti Nana deshagalali Nana bandhugalali Nana yonigalali nalidu putti Nanu nannadu emba naragadolage biddu Nanu
Bharat, now biddu evlo ilukka mudiyuma ilu.
Nanu nannadu emba naragadolage biddu Nanu nannadu emba naragadolage biddu Nanu nannadu emba naragadolage biddu ನೀನೇ ಗತಿಯೆಂದು ನೀನೇ ಗತಿಯೆಂದು ನಂಬಿದ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನುದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ.
Wonderful. See, my thought was, Bharat, as we know the context, or probably especially for such compositions, and especially in a language which we may not be fluent. For example, I may not be fluent in Marathi. So, as you said, you may not be as fluent in Kannada. So, when you know the context, probably you can get very, very close to the composer's emotion. Isn't it true, or do you feel there is still a lot more to go? For example, there was this famous line, "And miles to go before I sleep." What is your thought about it?
Definitely, I would say just more than miles. If there is something more than that, definitely in the context of because, in my opinion, the Sahithyam part conveys a certain emotion, and the music part tries to add value to it and tries to elevate it.
True.
So I'm talking about compositions. See, as a person who has tuned compositions, like
Okay.
set compositions to tune. I'm talking. So, in case of people, Vagayakaras, which means people who compose the Sahithyam as well as the music, Sangeetham. So, for people like those, I mean, what the thought process would have been, and how much would they have read, and how much would they have understood, and அவ அப்போ கேட்ட கதையெல்லாம் எப்படி செவி வழி செய்தியா கேட்டிருப்பா சில விஷயங்கள்லாம். அண்ட் ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் சில விஷயங்கள் தியாகராஜர் வந்து ரொம்ப சர்வசாதாரணமா ஒரு ஒரு பழமொழிய சொல்லிட்டு போயிடுவார். தலைக்கு வந்தது தலப்பாயோட போச்சு, அதெல்லாம் பாட்டுல இன்கார்பரேட் பண்ணிருப்பார். ரொம்ப பியூட்டிஃபுல்லா இருக்கும். அந்த டெப்த் பயங்கர டீப்பா இருக்கிற ஒரு விஷயத்தையே ரொம்ப சாதாரணமா இந்த சாப்பாடு ஊட்டுற மாதிரி, குழந்தைக்கு சாதம் ஊட்டுற மாதிரி அப்படி சொல்லிட்டு போயிடுவார்.
Now that you have brought in Tyagaraja, do you want to take up some Tyagaraja composition, anything that you like?
Definitely. Shall we take Bantu reethi koluvu?
Oh yeah, that's like the kriti. Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
Why don't you sing Bantu reethi koluvu? So why don't you sing the charanam and then go back to the pallavi? Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine. We'll shift from pathos to slightly happier. At least in terms of music. I don't know how your explanation is going to be.
Okay.
Romanchamane ghanakanchukamu Ramabhaktudanu mudrabillayu. Romanchamane ghanakanchukamu Ramabhaktudanu mudrabillayu. Ramanamamane varakka Ramanamamane varakka Rajilunaya Tyagarajunika Bantu reethi koluvu Vaya Rama Bantu reethi koluvu Vaya Rama.
See, this kriti, I have had the fortune, or probably it was a learning experience for me while I used to listen to the recorded versions of Embar, then Balakrishna Shastrigal. So they were all people who explored music through the art of storytelling. So what I have learned is this is a particular kriti that comes in the context, because Tyagaraja did not come up with a Tyagaraja Ramayanam, though we all give Tyagaraja Ramayanam because he has not compiled them. So he has given different kritis, but looking at the context and the references he makes, we try to fit in. So in my opinion, this fits in Ayodhya Kandam. So when Rama and Sita, initially Rama was asked to go on an exile for 14 years and he immediately agreed. I keep telling, if it were Krishna, he would have filed a case on Dasharatha. It was, thank God, Dasharatha was fortunate enough to have Rama as his son. So he goes and informs his wife Sita that I am leaving to the forest for 14 years. Take care, I love you, see ya, mua. So see you later. So that's what he said. But then Sita said, see, don't give different meanings for the word heaven and hell. Wherever you are, that's heaven to me. And so she said, she had a huge debate with Rama. Of course, she's at the end says, Kim tva manyata vaidehaha pitani mithiladipah Ramajapataram prapya striyam purusha vigraham. If you don't take me, I will imagine you to be the man, a lady in the disguise of a man. So then Rama says, okay, you come with me. And as they walk out of their Shuddhatma, which is their Antavpuram, their legs are held by Lakshmana. So Lakshmana tells, Sabhratus charanaugadham nipidya raghunandanaha Sitam uvacha atishayam raghavam cha mahabhratam aham sarvam karishyami. So he tells, I will not talk to you, my dear brother. I'll talk to my sister-in-law. I'll talk to my Madani. Manniyoda na pesikren. Sita, I will sweep your house. I will mop your house. I will wash the utensils. I will cook. I will bring the fuel for the cooking. I will do every possible service. Sita looked at Rama and said, don't leave this man. So imagine during the lockdown period, everybody wanted to build houses for their servant maids. All these years, people thought we were disrespectful. Now we thought, okay, they're helping us. Why don't we treat them as peers, as human beings? So here is one Lakshmana who tells, I'll do every possible service. So this kind of the concept of serving someone is called Seshatvam. And in Telugu, it is the role of playing a Bantu, which means a servant. So Bantu, reethi, koluvu. So koluvu is the job. Give me that work of being a servant. So at times, I get startled. Even I used to sing it that way because I was taught that way. So a Tamil person is teaching another Tamil person, Bantu, reethi, kolu. Daya, Vaya, Rama. So it fits in the thala. 1, 2, 1, Bantu, reethi, kolu. But I was surprised when a lot of my Telugu friends came up to me and said, "Sir, we are very thankful that you are promoting Telugu language, but please don't do it this way." So I asked them why, what's wrong. They said, "Sir, koluvu is one word. Velai." So, adimaya irukkum lai kodu Rama. So that lie goes in the next line, which doesn't make any sense. So that's when I had to look back into the composition and think what kind of disaster we have made. Then Lakshmana tells Rama and Sita, see, there are 3 characteristic features, my dear brother and sister-in-law, to be a Rama Bhakta. Romanchamanu Ghanakanchukamu. So when you hear about Rama's praises, it seems you should get goosebumps. So if I'm telling you now, and if you're not getting, I'm not doing my job well. So Romanchamanu Ghanakanchukamu Rama Bhaktudanu Mudrapillayu. I have the tattoo that I'm Rama's devotee. Ramanama Mane Varakhadgamivi. See, I think in the 3rd line, I would like to help you in the improvisation. Can you start singing? I'll follow with you.
Yeah, sure. From Romanchamanu.
Romanchamanu, yeah.
Romanchamane Ghanakanchukamu Rama Bhaktudanu Mudrapillayu. Romanchamanu Ghanakanchukamu Rama Bhaktudane Mudrapillayu. Ramanama Mane Ramanama Mane Barakadgamivi. Ramanama Mane Barakadgamivi.
Isn't the same Ramanamam which gives so much of love that overflows from the heart of his dear father Dasharatha? So when Dasharatha calls out Rama, how will that line sound?
Ramanama Mane Barakadgamivi. Ramanama Mane Barakadgamivi. Ramanama Mane.
Now from fatherly love, we have to go to the Shringaram love, what Sita, like she used to call her husband Ram. It's not the same love what Dasharatha had. It's a different kind of love. So how will she call?
Ramanama Mane Barakadgamivi. Ramanama Mane Barakadgamivi. Ramanama Mane.
Shabari, who was a Shramani, she was like a sannyasini, an old woman who was waiting for Rama's entry into her hermitage. Now she is going to call Rama with a lot of bhakti. So how will she call?
Ramanama Mane Varakadgamivi. Ramanama Mane Varakadgamivi. Ramanama.
Now when Hanuman, he had to take the message of Rama to Sita, he had to cross 3 obstacles. He had to cross an obstacle called Mainakam, the mountain. Second, Nagamata Surasa. Third, a demoness called Simhika. And then he had to fight the immigration agent of Sri Lanka called Lankini. So at every stage, he used Ramanamam as the powerful weapon. So it has to come with a lot of Veera Rasam 4 times. 4 different modulations for the same line.
Ramanama Mane Varakadgamivi. Ramanama Mane Varakadgamivi. Ramanama Mane Varakadgamivi. Ramanama Mane Varakadgamivi. Ramanama Mane
முடிச்சுடலாம்.
ராமநாமவனே வரக்கக நிவேராஜில்லுனைய ತ್ಯಾಗರಾಜುನಿಗೆ ಬಂಟು ರೀತಿ ಕೊಲುವು ಇಯವಯ್ಯ ರಾಮ ಬಂಟು ರೀತಿ ಕೊಲುವು ಇಯವಯ್ಯ ರಾಮ.
ஓகே, எல்லா லாங்குவேஜும் சுத்தி பாடியாச்சு. நான் தமிழ்ல பேசலாமா? What's your feeling when you sing in Tamil? How different is it?
Well, yeah, Tamil வந்து, so it's like Kamal Hassan sir saying, I can speak 5 languages in Telugu. அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி I try to understand every other language from the lens of Tamil. So okay. That's my interest in Tamil, and I certainly feel a difference when I sing a composition or a viritham in Tamil. இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இப்போ சில விஷயங்கள்லாம் வந்து தமிழ்ல நமக்கு அர்த்தமே தெரியலன்னா கூட, லைக் வெரி இப்போ ஆழ்வார்களோட பாசுரமா இருக்கட்டும் ஆர் தேவாரமா இருக்கட்டும், நால்வரோட தேவாரமா இருக்கட்டும், ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி விஷயங்கள்லாம் நமக்கு அர்த்தமே சில விஷயங்கள்லாம் தெரியாம இருக்கும்போது கூட அது ஏதோ ஒரு ஐ டோன்ட் நோ இஃப் இட்ஸ் a regional feeling or I don't want to associate myself to any of those things. அந்த மாதிரி இல்ல இந்த தமிழ் அந்த 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 இது இல்ல.
So you don't want to say hindi தெரியாது போடா?
No, I definitely don't. So அந்த மாதிரி, but Tamil does something. I don't know if it's because of the language that I've been hearing from my childhood. அதனாலயா தெரியல. And I have not formally learned Tamil, by the way. ரொம்ப third language தான் தமிழ் படிச்சேனா. So I belong to that category. எங்க அப்பா வந்து my அப்பா is like ஹிந்தி படிச்சா ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும் ஃபியூச்சர்ல அப்படின்னு. இந்த அல்ஜிப்ரா மாதிரி யார் அதை கண்டுபிடிச்சாங்களோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் அவங்கள தான் நான் உதைக்க போறேன் போய். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி சொன்னார். எனக்கு இன்னைக்கு கூட அம்மா கே ரெயின் கோட் தான் ஹிந்தி, அந்த லெவல் தான். ஸோ
கரெக்ட்.
ஸோ அந்த தட் ஃபீலிங் ஐ கெட் ஈவன் வென் ஐ லிசன் டு தமிழ் பீப்புள் சிங் தமிழ் காம்போசிஷன்ஸ். நல்ல ஒரு அர்த்தமா ஒரு அழுத்தமா பாடினா ஒரு ஒரு ஃபீலிங் ஒன்று கம்யூனிகேட் ஆகுது.
வெரி ட்ரூ.
somehow I try to translate the same thing, apply the same thing when I know the context and meaning of the Sanskritam or Telugu or Malayalam or Kannada composition.
இப்போ நீங்க வந்து you've mentioned about தமிழ் compositions, அந்த தமிழ் செய்யக்கூடிய அதிசயங்கள், நம்ம மனசுல பண்ணக்கூடிய விஷயங்கள் எல்லாம் சொல்லியிருக்கேன். Do you have somebody in mind who has kind of beautifully presented a song or a viritham which can actually make even a பாட்டு தெரியாதவாளுக்கு கூட அந்த அந்த சாகித்யத்திலையும் அந்த எழுத்துலையும் அந்த சங்கீதத்திலையும் ஈர்ப்பு வர மாதிரி? Do you have people? Have you in your research?
Yeah, I have. அந்த மாதிரி நான் நிறைய பேர் கேட்டிருக்கேன். பட் ஒன் ஸ்ட்ரைக்கிங் எக்ஸாம்பிள் I can give, and I can even share the music with you right now.
Oh,
is
interesting.
Sri Sethalapati Balasubramaniam Mama.
Come again, our peru?
Sethalapati Balasubramaniam Mama.
Okay, so first of all, my namaskarams to that great person. See, that's what at times I also feel, Bharat, இந்த மாதிரி மகான்கள் ஜாம்பவான்களுடைய பேர்ல it doesn't reach the larger public. That is also a cause of worry. We just know the first 10. I know Bharat Sundar. I know, so it just goes. No, it's important that we also recognize Vidwans and Vidushis of that great caliber. Why don't you just play that for me? I will be very happy.
Absolutely. I'll just play. But I'm very. I'll be very glad if a lot of people listen to, a lot of musicians listen to artists like these. I'm sure many do. And
there's a message there. You're saying even musicians, performing musicians, may not know a lot about these kind of musicians. What is?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to say like the more contemporary, like the generation next to me, they might not know if we don't pass it on.
Fine, possibly, yeah.
So Sethalapati Balasubramaniam வந்து I'll just give a slight brief background about him. He learned from Sri Papanasam Shivan, direct disciple of Papanasam Shivan.
Okay, this is the 130th year of Papanasam Shivan.
Papanasam Shivan, ஆமா. ஸோ சிவன்வாலோட ஸ்டூடெண்ட். ஸோ இவர் எப்படின்னா வந்து he was known for singing விருத்தம்ஸ் அண்ட் ஸ்லோகம்ஸ். ஸோ அங்க முன்னாடி இந்த மார்கழியில இதெல்லாம் நான் கேள்விப்பட்டது தான், நான் அப்போ எனக்கு பரிச்சயம் இல்லை. மார்கழியில வீதி பஜனை அந்த கபாலீஸ்வரர் கோவில் அந்த குளத்தை சுத்தி பண்ணும்போது, ஸோ மாமா வந்துட்டாருன்னா எல்லாரும் they will be waiting, all the artists like Ashok Ramanian அண்ணா, சஞ்சய் சுப்ரமணியம் அண்ணா and பேபி ஸ்ரீராம் அக்கா எல்லாரும் they have all told me, எல்லாரும் அப்படியே அந்த வீதி பஜனையில வெயிட் பண்ணிட்டே இருப்பா இவர் என்ன பாடுவார் அப்படின்னு. நீங்க ஒரு விருத்தம் பாடுங்க அப்படின்னு யாராவது கலப்பி விட்டுடுவா. அண்ட் he will like just அவர் பாடினதுக்கு அப்புறம் nobody will even care to sing, பாட மாட்டா அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவா. they will be like stuck there, அப்படி பாடிடுவாராம். So we'll just listen to a little bit of his music.
Sure, I'll be very, very delighted, please.
மொய்தாரணி குழல் வள்ளியை வேட்டவன், 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 மொய்தாரணி குழல் வள்ளி அணிகுழல் வள்ளியை வேட்டவன், வேட்டவன், முத்தமிழால் வைதாரையும் அங்கு வாழ வைப்போன், முத்தமிழால் வைதாரையும் அங்கு வாழ வைப்போன், முத்தமிழால் வைதாரையும் அங்கு வாழ வைப்போம். வெய்ய வாரணம் போல் கைதான் 20 உடையான், தலை 10 கத்தரிக்கை எய்தான் மருகன், உமையாள் பயந்த இளஞ்சியமே, உமையாள் பயந்த இளஞ்சியமே.
So that was Chhatrapati Balasubramanian Mama's Viritham singing Kandar alankaram.
What ragam? Kandar
alankaram and Sindhu Bhairavi.
Okay, beautiful.
Kandar alankaram. So what I was trying to say is அந்த வார்த்தையோட அர்த்தம் தெரிஞ்சு அங்க ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் கொடுக்கறது சங்கீதமா பாடும்போது, இட்ஸ் நாட் லைக் அப்படியே வரிசையா ஒரே மொனோட்டனஸா பாடாத.
கரெக்ட்.
ஸோ கொய்த அப்படின்லாம் வரும்போது ஒரு 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 அடிச்சு பாடுறது. இப்போ நீங்க கொஞ்ச நேரத்துக்கு முன்னாடி we did that இதுல the different
very true and அந்த ஒரு பாசுரமாவோ ஒரு விருத்தமாவோ ஸ்லோகமாவோ சொல்றதை விட when you try to explore in a ragam and vistarama சில வார்த்தைகளை மறுபடியும் சொல்லும்போது it goes somewhere very deep. I don't know whether we can internalize, whether we can reach that kind of a level, but at least it touches you somewhere. That's very important.
Absolutely. And also sila expressions that they have written. For example, one of the பாசுரம்ஸ்ல பொன்னிவர் மேனி மரகதத்தின் சோதி அகலத்தாரம் மின்னிவர் வாயில் நல் வேதமோதும் வேதியர் வானவர் அவர் தோழி என்னையும் நோக்கி என் நல்குலும் நோக்கி ஏந்தளம் குங்கையும் நோக்குகின்றார் அன்னையன் நோக்கும் என்று அஞ்சுகின்றேன் அச்சோ ஒருவர் அந்த அச்சோ அந்த எக்ஸ்பிரஷன் வந்து ஐ டோன்ட் திங்க் ஐ கேன் ரிலேட் டு எனி அதர் லாங்குவேஜ். ஐ மீன் அஃப்கோர்ஸ் இருக்கும். லைக் வராலியில ஒரு காம்போசிஷன் இருக்கு தியாகராஜர், ஏட்டி ஜென்மம் இது ஹா, இந்த ஹாங்கிறது ஒரு எக்ஸ்பிரஷன். பட் அச்சோ அப்படின்னு தமிழ்ல சொல்லும் போது when we sing it I can வீட்டுல நிறைய யூஸ் பண்ற வார்த்தை வேற அச்சோ அது அப்படி பண்ணாத அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி. சோ அச்சோ ஐயோ அப்படி நம்ம ரசிக்கும் போது கூட சங்கீதம் அப்படி ரசிக்கிறது உண்டு. ஐயோ ஐயோ எப்படி பாடிட்டார் அந்த மாதிரி.
So they see literally we can call them as non-translatables. Such words irukku illaya, they are all non-translatables. It's better we actually we use them just as they are.
So when you call them non-translatables, so I want to ask you this question as to how you manage to do discourses in English. Like I've heard you doing discourses in English about Andal, about proper pasurams, but fully in English. எனக்கு from an outsider's point of view it's very கேட்கறதுக்கு ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு. I can relate to it. But how do you feel when you are out of the Tamil zone and have to do it completely in English? அந்த மாதிரி situations இருந்திருக்கா உங்களுக்கு?
See, initially I started only as a Tamil upanyasakar or a Tamil harikatha artist, and இப்போ கூட நிறைய ஒரு பெரும்பாலும் ஒரு 70% I do it only in Tamil. ஆனா என்ன ஆயிடுதுன்னா தமிழ்ல கேட்கக்கூடிய ரசிகாளுக்கு தமிழ்ல கேட்கும்போது அவளுக்கு அதோட அசோசியேட் பண்ண முடியாது. ஓஹோ இவர் இப்படிதான் பேசியிருப்பார், இப்படிதான் இருக்கும். ஜோக் அடிக்கிறதுலாம் கூட சாதாரணமா அடிச்சா கூட ஓஹோ they are able to associate. But what happens is, see, we live in a different India and a different world. There are people who will want to know about Alvars from the Kannada region, Maharashtra region. See, நம்ம சொல்றோம் இல்லையா தமிழை பரப்ப வேண்டும் அப்படிங்கிறது. எல்லாருக்கும் தமிழை கத்து கொடுத்துட்டு தமிழை பரப்புறதுங்கிறது அலை ஒஞ்சு குளிக்கிற மாதிரி நடக்காத காரியம். So at that point in time I'm coaxed to speak in English. Nevertheless, I can give it in writing that it will not give me the same feeling as what I speak in Tamil. அந்த தமிழ்ல பேசும்போது ஒரு சொற்பொழிவு ஆற்றும் போது இருக்கக்கூடிய உணர்வோ உணர்ச்சியோ ஒரு லேட்ச பாஷை ஆங்கிலத்துல பேசும்போது வராது. அது நான் எங்க வேணாலும் சொல்லுவேன். பட் we also need to understand that we have a large audience that is actually waiting. In fact, you know, Bharat, where was my first English lecture in my career? It was in Chennai. So Tamil upanyasathuku start on Chennai da, English ko start Chennai da, because a lot of North Indians from Chennai gathered and said, sir, we can't understand Tamil to that extent, do it in English. So initially what I used to do was meenamar poigai narmalar koivan vetkainodu sennalizhindu says Thirumangai Alvar. Next, as we move towards Nammalvar, then the audience will be left clueless. Sir, what did you just say now? So then I have to translate. So meenamar poigai, in the beautiful pond that were filled with lilies came the crocodile that held with its jaws the leg of the elephant, and there came the Lord on the Veda incarnate Garuda to the pond to rescue the elephant from the jaws of the crocodile. What did I say? Meenamar poigai narmalar koivan. So I have to give this explanation.
Upscale restaurant மெனுல அந்த கீழ ஒன்னு போட்டுருப்பான் தெரியுமா? வெறும் அந்த மல்கத்வானி சூப்னு இருக்கும். ஆனா அது கீழ ஒரு பெரிய எக்ஸ்பிளனேஷன் ஒன்னு போட்டுருப்பான்.
True. See that big, see I know at one point in time it becomes really tough, but I used to remember my Pilani days. எங்களுக்கு சொல்லுவா how to make a simple sentence complicated in report writing. So it's like scintillate you minuscule asteroid in the vast expanse of the splendid sky, and people would ask, what did you just say? I said twinkle twinkle little star. so I have to, even the achacho, you just brought that illa acho oruvar alagiyava adada appapa. So idukalla, see, I have to find an English expression which is not exactly the same. So I have to say lo, alas, wow. So all these things work well with an audience who don't know Tamil. So for them it's like, oh, here is an English speaker, but the Tamil speakers will come and say, sir, பேசினேன் ஆனா தமிழ்ல பேசும்போது வரக்கூடிய எனக்கு புரிஞ்சுடுத்து அப்படின்னா, ஸோ வரக்கூடியக்கு மேல அவள் சொல்ல வராது. ஸோ இது காட்டலாகா தன்மைன்னு பேரு தமிழ்ல. யூ காண்ட் ஷோ சர்டன் திங்ஸ். இப்போ கம்பர் கூட ராமரை வர்ணிக்கும் போது மெய்யோ மரகதமோ மழைமுகிலோ ஐயோ அப்படின்னு விட்டார். So this ayyo is also an expression that shows that I have no words. So you rightly said, and the Tamil பேசும்போது இப்போ we are speaking like this இல்லையா, some person may say, உங்களுக்கு தமிழ் தெரியாதா, நீங்கள் தமிழில் பேசக்கூடாதா. See, the point of having an English interview is to reach out to a larger audience. Not to say that I won't speak in Tamil. But Tamil பேசினா நிச்சயமா தமிழ் பேசக்கூடிய புரியக்கூடிய மக்களுக்கு ரொம்ப of course even both of us will be comfortable. But we also need to accept the reality of the world, that English has become a language that is able to link us. When we are not ready to learn Hindi, we are not ready to learn Sanskrit, at least let's take up Robert Clive's language.
Yeah, it's like content over form மாதிரி. நம்ம இப்போ உங்களுக்கு எது முக்கியம், தமிழ்ல இருக்கிற அந்த ஒர்க்ஸோட அந்த ஒரு மேன்மை வந்து எல்லாருக்கும் போய் சேரணுமா, இல்ல தமிழ்ல பேசி நமக்குள்ளே இருந்தா போருமாங்கிற மாதிரி. இட்ஸ் லைக் a trade off.
Bharat, something that has been there in my mind for a very long time, I wanted to ask a performer like you or anybody else, because I've known a lot of other performing peer musicians along with you, be it Ramakrishnan Murthy or Anahita Purva. So this is a question that I would like to ask you, who may be a representative of that lot. When there is something called a paddhati or a bani, you might have been inspired of a lot of performing artists, right from the days of Ariyakudi, Shemmangudi, G&B, Madurai Mani, Alathur Brothers, and then you had a KVN, you had a PSN, then you have Seshagopalan, you have Sanjay Subramaniam, so many stalwarts. Of course, you have MS Subbalakshmi, MLV, DKP, so many musicians. Now when you look at this, and you would have learned under a certain tutelage, oru paramparayila kathundirpen. Now when you sing, and you've been singing for over a decade, now do you kind of come up with your own Bani, or do you stick to your Acharya, your Guru's Bani, or do you actually pick up from a lot of musicians? How does it go?
Okay, I think it is an organic process nu thondrudhu enakku. Like it's not, if you try to emulate or imitate somebody, imitate as in not in the wrong way, but ரொம்ப பிடிச்சப்பே ஒரு மனசுல ஒரு ஆசை வந்து பாடினா இவர மாதிரி பாடணும்பா அந்த மாதிரி நினைச்சிட்டு அந்த மாதிரி பண்ணும்போது sometimes what happens is you even start imitating their body language, the way of their voice production. You may have a different kind of a voice, but like for example, if Shammangudi Mama will have a different kind of voice. If I love his music, I cannot go and sing like அந்த மாதிரி அவரை மாதிரி பாடணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை, பாடவும் கூடாது. என்ன பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் அந்த மாதிரி பாடினா it's not only detrimental to your career, it's also a great insult to that artist. இது என்னோட opinion, personal opinion. So when you talk about Bani, this word Bani, they say style. English la சொல்லும்போது they say style. Which school of music are you from? அந்த மாதிரி கேட்பா.
Correct.
So Bani is mostly associated in my opinion with not with the style of singing, but the compositions that you sing. இப்போ for example சேத்த ஸ்ரீ பாலகிருஷ்ணன் பாடினா சமங்குடி மாமா வழியில கத்துண்டியா, அவரோட பாட்டாந்திரமா அப்படின்னு. பாட்டாந்திரம் is basically like difference in the இது இல்லையா,
correct,
the difference of that music or that song. ஒரு ஸ்கூல்ல வேற மாதிரி இருக்கு, இன்னொரு ஸ்கூல்ல வேற மாதிரி இருக்கும் அந்த மாதிரி. So in my opinion, it's not a conscious effort to pick from anyone. இது எடுத்துக்கணும்ங்கிறது இல்லை. So when you listen to lot of people, a lot of things, and when you listen to சொல்லும்போது you listen to with a very open mind.
Right.
This is my opinion. So as a musician, I always say this, as a musician you can have preferences. You may have, you should have, you can have, but never bias. Bias irukku.
Correct.
இதுதான் கேட்க.
But ana ipo Bharat, suppose as a listener, I'm not seeing the visual, but as a listener, at times I feel when I close my eyes that your music is like Sanjay Subramaniam's. So what do you think as a listener I'm actually finding things in, or aspects in your music which makes me feel yours is like Sanjay? What is actually telling me that?
Okay, you safely said close my eyes. இல்லனா நான் வந்து வெள்ள சட்டம் சொல்லிருப்பேன் ஈஸியா. So, well, I don't know. I mean, it could be. I'm not consciously trying to sing like Sanjay or anything.
No. Yeah. I'm not meaning that. I'm not saying you want to consciously, but
the fact that I'm singing Tamil compositions, the fact that I'm probably, I'm also certainly inspired by his music. That is undeniable. அதை deny பண்ண முடியாது. I've also been inspired by his music, so அதனால traces of his music will definitely show up in my music.
Maybe even your voice pattern or your tone.
இருக்கலாம்.
Do you feel that as well?
இருக்கலாம். அது வந்து
yeah, possibly yes, yeah.
So அந்த மாதிரி. So my opinion, it should be an organic mixture of various styles. Because GNB sir கூட ஒரு இடத்துல சொல்லும்போது he'll say, நான் if சாவேரியில வந்து ஒரு phrase of டைகர் வரதாச்சாரியாரும் ஒரு phrase of அரியப்படி ராமானுஜயனாரும் நான் கேட்டிருப்பேன். ஸோ அதை மிக்ஸ் பண்ணி ரெண்டுத்தையும் அடுத்தடுத்து கொடுத்து நான் பாடும்போது அது டெஃபினெட்லி என் ஃப்ரேஸாக தான் இருக்கும். பிகாஸ் த ஃபேக்ட் இஸ் ஐ எம் சிங்கிங் தட் அப்படிங்கிறதுனால. ஸோ அரியக்குடி பாடினாங்கிறதுனால நான் அப்படியே டிட்டோ அரியக்குடி மாதிரி பாடணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை, பாடவும் முடியாது. தட் இஸ் வை ஹீ இஸ் அரியக்குடி அண்ட் ஐ எம் மீ. ஸோ அந்த ஒரு டிஃப்ரென்ஸை இட்ஸ் ஆல்வேஸ் பாணி ஃபாலோ பண்ணுறதுக்கும் இமிட்டேட் பண்ணுறதுக்கும் ஒரு வெரி வெரி தின் லைன் ஆஃப் டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் அந்த மாதிரி.
ஓகே. True.
So, this makes me ask you a question. In the Upanyasam mode, நிறைய ஸ்டைல்ஸ் நான் கேட்டிருக்கேன். நிறைய பேர் லைக் ஒரு ஹரிகதா பண்ணும்போது ஒரு கமலாமூர்த்தி மாமியா இருக்கட்டும், இல்லை ஒரு பாலகிருஷ்ண சாஸ்திரிகள் அவராக இருக்கட்டும், அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய பேர் பண்ணும்போது all of them will have different styles in speaking. வேலுக்குடி கிருஷ்ணன் அவராக இருக்கட்டும், பேசுறது ஒரு மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஸோ நீங்க வந்து how do you take it, like when you express it, is it like you have your own way of expressing the things? How do you take inspirations?
See, before venturing into the art of harikatha or kalakshepam or upanyasam style, I was a public speaker. So right from my school days, in whichever nook and corner of the city, there is going to be an elocution competition, a just a minute competition, turncoats, mock United Nations, mock parliament. I will be sent and I will be volunteering to go. So, in the style in Vedanta Kalakshepam, see, when I learnt Vedanta like Sri Bhashyam, Gita Bhashyam, Rahasya Tresaram, the teachers were just teaching me the content and the philosophy da kathatarva, style la kathatarmata. And whatever I've learnt, I've not even spoken on stage. What I speak is Ramayana, Mahabharatam, Bhakta Charitrangal, Narayaniyam, Bhagavatam, Vishnu Puranam and so on. Now, what I have done from my childhood is, see, honestly, me starting la sonne, na vandu nariya performances poi nerla kepen to, it's the other way around for me. I have never been to music academy in my life, and my first entry to music academy was my performance. I have never been to music academy. So, starting la Nardagana Sabha na ponadilla. Na ingeme ponadilla. Say I was brought up in Bangalore and then I was there for a brief time in Chennai. So, all my knowledge either was from my acharya from whom I learned directly, or it will be through cassettes. In those days we had cassettes, so I would have at least 400 cassettes, and evlo perudhu kettiruken kadakela pulavar Kiran, Sivananda Vijayalakshmi and Anantarama Dikshitar's family, his brother's family was so close to my grandfather. So ipa Narayaniyam la sollumbodhu he will be in my heart. Agre pashyami tejo nibidatarakala appadinu இந்த இடத்துல குருவாயூரப்பன் வந்தாளாம் அதை சொல்லும்போது அதை பட்டதிரேல். So if I say Narayaniyam, he is in my mind, but of course I cannot mimic him, but certain places I may try to not consciously imitate, but certain places if avardo illata I am greatly inspired by Brahmashri Sundar Kumar Anna from a very long time. So ivar rendu per. Now when it comes to relating to the audience, connecting to the audience, my acharya Karunakar Acharya Swami is like the leader, talaivar. So the way he can relate to the audience, romba nalla pannuvar. So I learned that art of how to relate to your audience. Otherwise Ramayanama appo Ramayana இப்ப கூட relevant அப்படிங்கிறது அவரோட ஸ்டைல். வைகுண்டேது பரேலோகே ஸ்ரீயாசார்த்தம் ஜகத்பதி ஆஸ்தே விஷ்ணு ரச்சிந்தியாத்மா பக்தை பாகவதை சஹா. இந்த புராண ஸ்லோகமானது அப்படிங்கிறது வேலுக்குடி கிருஷ்ணன் சுவாமியோட ஸ்டைல். Now I take up Prabandham oda Pasurangal eppadi sollano Meenavar Poigai Narmalar Koivan. So the way he has his clarity, அதாவது ஒரு பாசுரம் எடுத்துட்டா இப்படி சொல்லணும். ஸோ பீட் கருணாகராச்சார் சுவாமி ஒரு இது இப்போ பாட்டு எங்கேயாவது வரும்போது ஐம் கிரேட்லி இன்ஸ்பயர்ட் பை பாலகிருஷ்ண சாஸ்திரிகள். ஸோ இவாழ்வாழ்ந்து எடுத்துப்பேன். But when you listen to my discourse, you may not be able to say which Bani I am. So it's Dushyanth's own Bani, because I also connect to Harry Potter, which no Upanyasakar would have dared in their life. It's a taboo, because they may say Hari the Potter, but not Harry Potter. So for me, I have grown up in Harry Potter. So I used to stand outside the library to get the first copy. So it's like one important book for me. In my shelf, I have to have Harry Potter. So see, I've grown up in Harry Potter, and I feel there's nothing wrong in relating to Harry Potter as long as it can convey a certain point to my audience.